represent not only myself and my children, but many parents and friends that I know that are afraid to stand up due to their jobs or their families. If we don't get together right now and stop this nonsense, we are looking down a very scary road. This is more than just health. This is our rights as people and family to make our own decisions for our children. There is a vaccine available if you want to take it. You can wear 1, 2, or 10 masks if you want to. Let us make our own choices. You mentioned that you're listening to these organizations above, the powers that be. Are these the same people that said it was okay to go to a restaurant and wear a mask when you walk in and take it off when you sit down? What happened to critical thinking? What is going on here? All I see with the news and the media is constant segregation and dividing us. Why are they doing that? Follow the money. Okay, people, wake up and stand up for the children. Thank you.
Hey guys, it's Adam, Horse Gulch Blog. We are here at Durango High School in Durango, Colorado. We're going to be going into the auditorium in a minute, or a few minutes if we can. It's going to be a meeting about COVID-19 mitigation guidelines for the 2021-2022 school year here. So yeah, today's Tuesday, August 3rd. We're at Durango High School, which is off of Main Ave here in Durango. Let's see if they respect our right to record in public. And let's see what they have to say about respecting medical freedom for students here in Durango, in La Plata County, Colorado. What's up, you guys?
Hey, Adam?
Yeah.
Right?
Adam!
Yep, how are you?
Hi, my darling!
Thank you. Good
You're
to see you
welcome.
too.
That, did you?
Good to see you.
Yeah, can I see your signs, please? There you go. Nice.
Thank you, Adam.
All right.
Sorry to wait the last minute to get them made.
That's nice.
We're like shaking to the garage, going by one.
To have it ready by the 1st.
Oh, you're kidding.
By next 1st. Well, or hopefully to have it printed, I should say.
Thank you. Hello.
Dr. Karen Chesser, the new superintendent of Durango 9R, and it's so exciting to see all the community participation and involvement. Now, we're going to hold you to this when we start talking about things like shared vision and supporting our schools, and we hope you will be involved. Thank you for welcoming me to Durango, and everyone has been wonderful, fantastic schools, fantastic community, and I appreciate all of the communication and the support. So we're here tonight to hear from you about possible COVID mitigation strategies. As you know, we've been dealing with this for over 18 months as a country, as a state, as a school district. And our people, when I say people, our community, our staff, our teachers have done fantastic work in helping really reduce as many disruptions in learning as we possibly can, trying to continue to build relationships for students, to try to sort of mitigate the social emotional concerns. It's been a fantastic district in the way that the district has worked really, really hard to try to have as normal as possible of instruction for students, even during a pandemic. And I want to thank our teachers and staff publicly, our Board of Education, our district and school leaders, and our community, because you've been very patient. We know so much more than we did 18 months ago, and we continue to learn more and more. And it is true that while we thought, hey, this might be over, it's not exactly over. And so that's why we're here again, to get your input, to get your feedback, so that we know how to develop our guidelines, what advice we should give, how we should support our students and our community. We have to say that our focus as educators is on education. That's what we are the experts on, right? The academics, the learning environment, that's what we've gone to school for years and years for. That's what we continue to craft. And that we are not the health experts. And so we listen carefully to our health experts, and it's our health experts who give us the information that we need. And they have recommended some strategies that you all got to respond to in the survey, and I'm sure we'll be addressing tonight. We want to thank you for completing the survey. We had many, many responses. And we want to give you this extra opportunity to provide feedback in person. Public participation is very important to our district, to our schools, and definitely to our Board of Education as they make very important decisions. Our focus is, of course, you've learned about this now, on in-person instruction as it is for our schools across the state, our districts across the state and the country. So we want to hear from our community, our staff. We've spoken to our school leaders to get their opinions about what those strategies might be, where we need to go. We know that this is an issue that many people are passionate about, and so you should be. This is very important, and we definitely want to hear from you. Just a couple of bits of information. We've put this in the survey, but first of all, you have done a fantastic job in La Plata County. We have, lower than other areas transmission rates right now. We also have higher vaccination rates. And you probably saw sort of that magic percentage is 70%. If 70% of the people have their first shot for the vaccination, then there are certain strategies and recommendations that our health department are giving us. For example, we will not have to do the sort of quarantining and kinds of things we have to do if we're below 70%, and we are very close to that number. So I want to thank you all publicly for working hard to try to keep our students healthy and our community healthy. Now, we are going to hear your feedback tonight, and our plan is to put out some guidelines very soon so that we're all kind of in the same place. But I do have to say, we will have to be flexible, right? Because things could change. And so that'll be very important, but we want to have clear guidelines so that everyone knows what to expect if the situation changes. Before we turn this over to starting to hear from our participants, I'd like to introduce our Board of Education President, Kristen Wilson.
Hi everyone,
thank you so much for being here tonight. As you know, the Board of Education welcomes public participation and feedback, and we're so excited to hear from you all this evening. I just wanted to share with you, I got to go on a little run around Durango today and see so many of our students outside practicing for football, for track, for band. I even saw a little bus of some of our little ones who are doing summer school wave at me as they rolled by. And at the heart of this whole matter is our kids. We just want to do what's very best for them this year, and we're going to do our very best to make the best decision possible for them. And I just wanted to share that with you, that the Board of Education, and in our hearts, is the kids of this district and their education. And I just thank you so much for being here tonight, and I can't wait to hear from you all. Thank you.
Thank you for your service, Kristen. All right, so we're going to get started. It's a pleasure to be here with you all tonight. My name is Vanessa Giddings, and I'm the Executive Director of Student Support Services. And many of you have reached out to me over the past months and years, and I actually was born and raised in Durango, so I recognize many of you tonight, and it's comforting to be in a community where we are able to come together with kids in mind at the focus and discuss tough issues. So this is a tough issue, it's a polarizing issue, and we appreciate everyone who's here to speak respectfully and respect the opinions of others in our community. So thank you very much. As you know, you were provided with some of these parameters ahead of time. We are going to provide each speaker who signed up with a total of 2 minutes. We did have 111 people sign up, so in order to make sure that we have time to hear everyone, we will time you. We're going to do that 2 minutes for each person. Julie Pop over here, our Public Information Officer, is going to be our timekeeper. She will let you know when you're 30 seconds till the end of your time, so that you have a little bit of prior knowledge. Please remember that we are here to honor the time allocation. We're going to honor the time allocation. We're going to honor the perspectives of the people in the room, and we're going to provide respect to all of the participants and the district personnel and speak toward this topic. So there's a lot of topics right now in our nation, but the topic this evening is COVID mitigation strategies. So that is our topic. And if you, as you know, when we have our board public participation, we're not able to provide commentary or immediate feedback about that. Our goal here tonight is really to listen to you, to hear your concerns and your feedback to us, so that we can make the best policies and practices in place for our school district as we start our year. Anything else we need to say? Okay, great. So I'm going to give the first speaker their name, and then I'm always going to try to tell who's next so that you can be ready and we can be most efficient with our time. Okay, so Kelly Gagan is first, and then our next person is Tori Queen. Kelly Gagan, are you here? Okay, we're going to move on to Tori Queen. And then the next person would be Amy Heckmeyer. So if she's here, we'll want her to be ready.
Hi, my name is Tori Queen. As a parent and a teacher, I'm here to say that I do not think our students should have to wear masks if they do not want to, based on their parents or them. First, because they are at an extreme low risk of dying from this virus. In England, of the 61 children that died linked to the positive test, 25 were actually caused by the virus. The others died with COVID, not from COVID. In fact, in England, children had a 99.99% survival rate. Child hospitalization in the US are 0.1 to 1.9% of all hospitalizations. Most students with COVID last year would not have even been tested for if it wasn't for the healthcare centers telling them and their parents that they had been exposed and needed to be tested. We never would have known that they had it. If the teachers are worried about getting it from their students, then they got their vaccines to protect them. Also, it sends mixed signals if we actually trust masks to work. If we trust them, then why are we quarantining whole buses and classrooms due to a possible exposure? It is almost like saying Actually, they don't really work. So now you have been exposed and now you need to be tested. If that is how we feel, then why are we wearing them? Our kids have returned to normal over the summer. Let's not take that back away from them.
30 seconds left.
If you don't believe me, then look at the pickleball picture in the Herald last week. No mask or distancing. I'm speaking as someone who has had COVID in their house. It's just not worth it for the kids. It should be a parent choice.
Thank you. Next is Amy Hackmeyer. Is Amy here?
You need the volume up? Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Maybe it was just not, yeah. And maybe I'm too tall for it. Okay, so Amy Hackmeyer, is she here? Okay, then next is Susie Lawson, and then Julie Korb. Susie Lawson? Julie Korb? Okay, Julie's here, thank you. And then after Julie is Ann Thine.
"18 months ago, my 12-year-old daughter was diagnosed with B-cell ALL leukemia. Since this time, she and her twin brother, Balin, and older brother, Jaden, have been in online school. Amara has endured more during this period than most adults in a lifetime. With 50 chemotherapy treatments in her port, 24 chemotherapies in her arm, 17 chemotherapies injected into her spinal column under anesthesia, over 2,000 chemotherapy pills and steroid pills, and has lost her hair twice. Mara's doing better than amazing, but I need every person in this room's help to make sure this continues. Our entire family has not stopped wearing masks since Amara was diagnosed. Our entire family was vaccinated as soon as we were able to. You might say then, what is the problem? Amara's chemotherapy that she has to intake to ensure that her cancer never returns lowers her immunity and makes her immune compromised, thus making the vaccine not as effective and perhaps not at all against COVID. If she is the only person in her classroom wearing a mask and others are not, she can't protect herself if others in the classroom have COVID. Instead of all of us focusing on our differences, it is important to focus on what we have in common. Every person in this room wants their child to be in person school this learning with no online school learning. Also, every person in this room either knows directly or indirectly, you all indirectly know my child, who is depending on the kindness of all of you to help her be able to be in school. Amara is planning to be in school in 3 weeks with her twin brother starting. The last time they were in person was 7th grade. Please do not make me tell her that after everything she has gone through the past 18 months, that she's unable to be with her peers because her community chose not to believe in science and public health expertise. Please lead by example and follow public health guidelines similar to hundreds of schools across the country and some entire states, including Louisiana, who has a Republican governor who imposed a statewide mask mandate for all indoor spaces, including schools, yesterday due to the Delta coronavirus.
Ann Thine, are you here? Here she is. And then after Ann, we have Allie Lloyd.
Hi, my name is Ann Pine. We have an incoming freshman at DHS. I work at Mercy. My husband works at ASH. My peers and I have been on the front lines of COVID throughout the pandemic, and I think that decisions of this magnitude should be based on data and objective measures while considering recommendations put forth by medical experts. Science, not politics or feelings, must drive decisions on how to open schools safely. The incidence of COVID-19 in a county should be low enough that transmission can be controlled. One measure for this in any single community can be the positivity rate over the past 7 days. In general, an accepted goal is less than 5%. We're currently at 5%. This is just just one example of objective data measures that we can use to make decisions to protect the health of our schools. Science tells us that ventilation, ongoing deep cleaning in schools, and open windows matter. There's also clear data on masking matters. I support the American Academy of Pediatrics recommendations that everyone older than 2 wear a mask regardless of vaccination status, and that is something that can be revised as time goes on and we can see the data unfold. Emergency physician Leanna Wren on the East Coast argues that many have been focused on the wrong question. She states, stop asking whether schools are safe. Instead, acknowledge that in-person instruction is essential, and then apply the principles that we have learned from essential services to keep schools open. In short, I'm here to advocate for in-person learning, no cohorts, vaccinations, universal masking for now, with subsequent recommendations based on local COVID transmission and vaccination rates, and well-ventilated and clean schools.
Allie Cloyd. You see Allie Cloyd? Okay. Jason Meacham, and then Ann Camp.
I'm going to go fast. Okay, I'm here to speak about the masking. One of the options presented to parents is having, for in-person education, is selective masking. If parents choose to vaccinate their kids and mask them, I support this. If parents choose to not vaccinate their kids and not mask them, I support that too. As parents, it's our responsibility to decide, nobody else. Everybody needs to support and respect a parent's individual choices concerning their kids' safety. We know from living through this pandemic that school-age kids are at virtually no risk from COVID. Those that feel threatened can protect themselves with a vaccine or a mask. It's their choice, and they don't have to worry about anybody else. We also know that school kids have not been shown to be a significant spreader of COVID. Selective masking suggested by 9R is segregation and discrimination of students. We don't single out students for any other vaccine. We don't single out kids based on their sexual orientation, their gender identification, or any other factor. Segregation invites peer pressure, bullying, and a host of other social ills. Has a negative impact on the mental health of our kids. This is not in dispute. This segregation also violates the 9R Board Resolution on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. It is not inclusive at all. Last year, CDPHE reported that in the age group of 15 to 24, 9 people died of COVID in the state of Colorado. In that same age group, 195 committed suicide. An irrational person can figure out that school lockdowns did contribute to this in part, and nobody's even talking about this. In May, Children's Hospital declared a state of mental health emergency for our kids. Quote from the chief medical officer, our kids have run out of resilience, their tank is empty. That's where we are right now as a system. It's impacting families across our metro area and across the state. That's just the tip of the iceberg. We're also doing incredible damage to our kids in education for an illness that poses almost no danger to our kids. This is not a political issue. If you want to politicize this, you do not have a seat at the table. You're not helping. Thank you.
No, Ann Camp, sorry. Ann Camp is
Really
next.
wanna talk.
You're really close. You're close, Cam, I promise. Ann Camp is next, and then Sarah McCloskey. Are they here? Okay. No Ann? Okay. Sarah McCloskey. Mallory O'Brien. Audric Dos Santos. Marshall Webb. Kayla Mannheimer. Jennifer Webb. Cam, it is you. Cam Bromby.
Tonight is about our children, the tyrannical assault on their medical freedom. The Constitution is not suspended in times of crisis or dies during a national emergency. State executive orders are not laws. They have to go through legislation for those to become laws. Governor Paul has issued over 400 executive orders against COVID, for COVID. His most recent order in July has no mention of mandating or requiring masks on the public. The Colorado Health Department also issued an order July 30th, and this only applies to people who are in jails, doing the homeless, or a medical staff. It only is required for unvaccinated people that are either care or medical staff. 9R has no jurisdiction under the Colorado statute for the disaster emergency response. You guys cannot act on that. Now, the Department of Justice states that a school cannot deny or not let a kid enroll in school because they cannot prove the following: documentation of residency, whether they're a citizen, birth certificate, social security number. Can't ask for them. However, 9R thinks it's okay to mask a kid because you have to prove whether they are vaccinated or not. Against the law. Let's talk about what the Colorado Department says. The Colorado Department says kids have to be in school. They have to go to school. Our children are not saying that this is okay, and they're not willingly participating in these mandatory actions. Now, let's go ahead and look what the Colorado Department has to say also. What they say is that you have rights to your kids' records, school records. These are educational records, health records, immunization records. You have to provide consent, written consent, for that information to be disseminated and put out. 9R is putting our kids' medical history in the public by making them wear a mask. You are disseminating my child's rights.
And I want to clarify that we have not said that, but we haven't said that. We haven't said that we're going to have kids who aren't vaccinated wear masks. That hasn't. We've said that that's the health department has recommended that. So thank you, though. Okay, I wanted to say next is Daniel Zabowitz and then Amy Sabakul. Daniel Zabowitz, Amy Sabakul. Kelly Hegarty.
Wow, I don't have a lot to add, Cam. Okay, my name is Kelly Hegarty. My name is Kelly Hegarty, and I am a resident. I am a taxpayer, so even if you don't have a kid in 9R school, this is of importance to us. The guidelines, as Cam has pointed out, they are suggested recommendations and guidelines, and even the local San Juan Basin Public Health, it says urged and advised. And so really, it's not a law. And if you look at, you were talking about, it's all about the kids and the scoring. If you look at the current CMAF scores, and especially during the time period of lockdown, bam, we have like 30% of our kids that are able to perform at grade level for math. That means 70% aren't. And so whatever's happening is not working. You know, so adding to the psychological aspect of mask mandates, lockdown, and it doesn't deny a parent that wants their child vaxxed or masked absolutely has that right. And that will work for them. But the kid cannot be put into a position where they're forced to sit all day, 6 or 8 hours. I think we've got a doctor that will attest to that somewhere. That is just not healthy. It's not the anxiety, the oppressive feel, oxygen deprivation. Yeah. So anyway, I would respectfully request, you do have the right. These are all their recommendations, their suggestions, their advice. They're not laws. So you have the right to say, you know what, in 9R schools, I know somebody mentioned other schools. I've heard of lots of districts that aren't requiring it. So they're not requiring these mandates. So if we want to take other districts and you need us to bring information about other districts, that's fine too. As you make your decisions, you have the ability to make this decision. That's right. Okay.
That's right.
For the students, no masks, sure, wash hands, ventilate, do the enhanced hygiene. But masks or vax or those type of restrictions, those are very oppressive restrictions.
Time.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I just want to remind people that Durango School District 9R hasn't made any decisions about any of the COVID mitigation strategies. So I think it's really important to know that no decisions have been made, as in I just want to be clear about that based on some of the feedback we're hearing. We do listen to our health officials, and one of the distinctions that was interesting about last year is that we were under a public health order. So that last year is a very different context than this year. So just want to thank you for all of that, and also remind you that we haven't made any decisions, but we will be making those and announcing them next week. So Lee Barrow is next. Is Lee here? Yes.
I don't know if you're going to have a question and answer session or not, but when you say you haven't made any decisions, what do you base your decision on?
Yeah, so we use the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment provides guidelines. We use the Center for Disease Control guidelines. And then we look at, obviously we're looking at the survey feedback from our community. We're looking at our metrics and what the health department has put out into place in CDPHE regarding that 70% vaccinated metric. That's important to know what that is, and also what that means for the implications of school, because that's what we're working in right now. The other thing that we're doing is listening to all of your feedback right now. So
yeah, I was wondering if you were going to
absolutely. That's why we haven't made.
This lady referred to us as public. She appreciates public participation, but we're not really the public. We're the owner. We own the school.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much. We all are in this community. Is Lee Barrow here?
She's at work and she's asked that I speak on her behalf. Can I do that? No. Yeah.
Thank you. Dominique Brandt. Is Dominique Brandt here? We'll remind people that also the survey closes tomorrow, so if people didn't get a chance to speak, that they can certainly fill out the survey.
Yes, we are posting it.
Yes, we will post the survey results. Thank you. So that was Dominique Brandt. And now...
These people not being here, are you going to open it up to others to speak?
Yeah. No, that is not.
No, no, because we have, again, there were 111 people that signed up, and we were very clear on that you would have to sign up, so.
But there've been lots of no-shows, so there's lots of people.
But in the form, we also collected information and follow-up for our speaker and a sign-off on our guidelines.
Sarah Meyer. Sarah Meyer, is Sarah here? Thank you. And then the next person is Liz Dillman.
Hi, my name is Sarah Meyer. I've been a nurse at Mercy for the last 15 years. I'm actually not that prepared to speak tonight. I didn't bring any statistics with me, but I can tell you that we've been seeing COVID cases increase. Our ICU remains full. TCU has been stressed, and that I don't think that we've seen yet what the Delta variant is capable of, and that should be a concern to everyone. Our young kids, those under 12, don't even have the ability to be vaccinated. We don't know when that's going to be available. And I think that for everybody's health, it would be best to just stay in masks, especially for our young children. That would help us prevent having the need for cohorts which will help kids socially. Last year, the cohorts were really hard on them, and that I think that if we can find kind of a middle ground, I hear that the mask issue is heated tonight. I think that that's a simple thing that everybody can do, where maybe it would allow for more leniency in other areas, like cohorts or different ways that we do have some flexibility. I appreciate all that 9R is doing. I think that they're working really hard and trying to listen to health officials, who I think should be the ultimate ones to make these decisions, not Americans.
Thank you so much. Remember that we are going to be respectful of all perspectives. And now we have Liz Delman and then Deborah Sneed.
Thank you. Thank you for the chance to speak tonight, and for us to be together and hear each other's perspectives. I think that's part of what makes this a really great community, is we are pretty good at listening to each other. I'm a teacher here at Durango High School and a parent of an 11-year-old and a 15-year-old in the district. So I'd like to first speak on behalf of masking, obviously, I have my mask on, for like a classroom management perspective. I agree, when you have some students with different expectations, it sets up a weird dynamic in the room. That's exactly why I would like all of my students to have masks on. Until the San Juan Basin Health recommends otherwise, with the Delta variant running through this community, including all the tourists and wonderful visitors we have, we do need to keep a consistent message. And we need to, and I'll tell you what, within my classes last year, kids wore the masks, and I think they were annoying for the teachers and students. They didn't seem to inhibit kids' social lives at all. I'm telling you what I saw. The cohorts, yes, the masks did not. As a parent of a child too young to choose to be vaccinated, and I can tell you he's really anxious to get vaccinated, I would like all of his classmates and teachers to be masked. That's because if he gets infected, he could really get sick. And it's such a simple thing to do as a kindness in our community. I urge that we do continue with masking with that consistent message, and as a way to show that we care about one another. So again, I would totally go with the authorities, San Juan Basin Health, the recommendations. And unfortunately, the state has kind of left our district needing to make the decision that is difficult in this community. So good luck with it.
Deborah Sneed. Deborah Sneed. Ida Blue Eyes. Ida Blue Eyes. Danielle Keel. Danielle Keel. Eric Edgar. And then next will be Brittany Vogenthaler.
Hi there, Eric Edgar. I'm a neurologist here in town. I'm speaking here purely on behalf of my children who are going to DHS next year. I am not speaking on behalf of any hospital, clinic, public health department, or government, because they are not speaking for our children. Frankly, neither is the CDC, neither is CDHE. So education is the primary reason we are so accomplished as a species, as a society. Unfortunately, we're putting public health above the education of our young people, despite the fact that the risk to them has been known to be low very nearly since the beginning. And particularly now, if they're vaccinated, it's microscopic risk, really. So, on the other hand, every single young person is at risk of all the complications of a poor education and poor social experience. And some of these things are tangible and some are not, but there's a reason we've been educating people a certain way for hundreds of years. It's 9R's job to educate, not to care about public health, and that needs to be remembered.
Amen.
Despite the initial fears, there has not been an apocalypse. There's not been a failure of the healthcare system. And the vast majority of people in our community are not going to die before their time. So just remember that the point is to educate our kids. The risk to them is extremely low from a health perspective, but extremely high from an education and social perspective. Thank you.
Brittany Vogenthaler, Lindsay Romero, Laura Mottershead, Jennifer Day, and after Jennifer is Shannon Fontenot.
I'm Jennifer Day. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Nursing from Boston College, and upon graduation served as a captain and registered nurse in the U.S. Army Nurse Corps. Currently, I'm a stay-at-home mom with 4 kids. There are 2 reasons why someone would even consider forcibly masking and vaccinating our children. One is to protect the children, but science and data don't support this, as children are more likely to get struck by lightning than die from this virus. The second reason would be to protect the teachers and staff, and last I checked, every staff member is an adult who's had the opportunity to get vaccinated. Once vaccinated, only 1 in 10,000 people exhibit a symptomatic breakthrough infection, and only 1 in 25,000 needs to be hospitalized. It is not my child's responsibility to prevent you from getting sick if you don't care to protect yourself. And yes, I believe it should always remain a free choice. There have been documented risks to kids regarding the vaccine. For children, there have been over 800 cases of myocarditis, and that's just one example. Overall, the risk of side effects to the vaccine is greater than my child's risk to the side effect of the virus. It is my decision where I would like to risk my child's health. Never mind the fact that my family has had COVID and there is 0 evidence to suggest that we don't have lifelong immunities. And until I see data on that, I will not be voluntarily putting my child at risk for side effects. In regards to the mask, 53% of parents polled reported increase in headaches in their children. 37% reported fatigue. 50% reported difficulty concentrating. Sleep issues, socialization issues, difficulty learning, shortness of breath, dizziness, decrease in oxygenation, saturation, increased heart rate, and repetitive constant mask wearing can affect a child's developing immune system. Children are affected mentally as well. This past May, Colorado reported a 90% increase in demand for behavioral health treatment, with the Colorado Children's Hospital declaring a mental health state of emergency among our youth. Suicides up, depression's up, anxiety's up, overdoses and drug use is up. What is not up? Our kids dying. They are fine. Let them live. I'm sick of it. And on top of it, on a personal note, my kid has auditory processing disorder. When a teacher masks up and she can't see her face, she can't learn just from hearing. You're affecting my kid's education. It makes no sense.
Shannon Fontenot, and then Terry Kerr-Lucer.
As a 9R teacher and parent, I believe that in-person learning is vital both in terms of academic growth and social-emotional health. It is our responsibility as a community to make sacrifices so that consistent in-person learning is a constant for our children. They are counting on us. My suggestions for the upcoming school year are: all 9R staff attest to their current vaccination status, encourage all staff and students age 12 and older. Encourage all staff and students age 12 and older to be fully vaccinated to best protect those in our school system who cannot get vaccinated at this time. 9R staff who have not been fully vaccinated test twice weekly at their building site. Encourage an opt-in COVID testing program, such as the program Escalante instituted with CDPHE last spring, which was quite successful. If 70% of a student body opts in, there's no need for cohorting, especially at the elementary level. As is currently being recommended by the CDC, all staff, students, and visitors should wear masks or cloth face coverings while on 9R campuses. Targeted quarantines for students and staff who have been exposed to positive cases. In middle and high school settings, the cohort model led to lack of access to educational opportunities. It is not a long-term solution. Vaccinations and consistent COVID testing can be powerful mitigation strategies to allow students to have a normal school experience. I am in no way pretending to be an expert when it comes to keeping us safe during this COVID-19 pandemic. I am, however, going to trust the scientists who have devoted their professional lives to the study of infectious disease and believe it is important for all of us to follow their guidelines and recommendations to keep our children happy and safe at school.
Terry Kerr-Lucer. Is Terry here? David Blau. Okay, and then next would be Brittany Hansen.
All right, Brittany.
I'm Dick.
Good evening. When I first joined 9R, I quickly realized the job of being the only high school in a small town was to serve the needs of everyone, but be it for all. That was over 20 years ago, and we now have 4 high schools and options, including online. We have a greater specialization and choice than ever before in education and professionally. And we now have a pandemic, and we have to make choices. I'd like to say from the onset, we need not to adhere to the perspective that the decision derived from this process be the it for all. Recently, Mayor Hancock just announced that all teachers and staff within Denver public schools, private schools, post-secondary schools, and higher education settings are mandated to receive COVID vaccination. As of a week ago, over 600 secondary institutions around the country, around the country have mandated vaccinations for all their students and staff, including Colorado's largest colleges such as CSU, CU, UNC, School of Mines, and Fort Lewis. The reality is that without proof of vaccination, our choices are becoming more and more limited. Our access to education is becoming limited because the world has become restricted by COVID. So if you want to attend Fort Lewis College and not be vaccinated, then your responsibility is to wear a mask and subject yourself to weekly COVID testing. As Bob McDonald, the Executive Director of Denver Public Department of Health, just stated earlier this week, we are not going to mask our way out of this. We need people to get vaccinated. That is the only way we're going to pull out of this. As for honoring the concept of choice, we can look at things either collectively or individually. Individual choice, which must be honored in this decision process, necessitates individual responsibility. Just like we now have choices in school settings where you can educate your child, we each individually have the choice to vaccinate or not. I question whether people's individual choices should dictate the responsibilities of the whole educational community. Pandemic is universal and global, and a collective responsibility exists. We know mask and social distancing were the original way to go and stay safe. That's what we had at that time. Now we know through much evidence that vaccinations will truly keep our schools and communities safe. I'm thankful for our district in creating these public forums to have such conversations, and I encourage us to recognize this isn't about government, not about Durango. We have no bubble around the county or schools. If our job is to truly prepare our students for the real world, then it would seem our responsibility to model where the rest of the country is going in terms of access to education.
Brittany Hansen, and then Deborah Schisler.
Hi, I'm Brittany Hansen. I'm the mother of 2 young kids, a 9-year-old and a 4-year-old, and I am looking forward for them to attending school this year. Tonight, my message is to Superintendent Karen Chesser and the school board. You have been officially put on notice. If you continue with your plans to force children to wear masks or get vaccinated, or if the board implements policies that segregate and discriminate against certain groups of children for any reason, or requires forced quarantine of individuals without a court order, these actions and policies will show the willful and knowledgeable intent by the school board to engage in criminal activities against the children they are supposed to be protecting. Tonight, I'm asking any school board member and Superintendent Karen Chesser to resign, effective immediately, if you approve of these proposed protocols. If you choose not to resign, a newly elected board in November of 2021 will replace you. And then they will terminate Karen for engaging in criminal activity against our children.
Yep. Crime against humanity.
Now to the parents. School board district seats is 4 open, A, C, D, and E. Smith is the only one that's going to be on. If you're interested in taking back our school system, we have an incredible team that is organized to help you succeed. We have all the tools for you to win, such as not limited to campaigning, management, advertising, fundraising, signature collecting. If you want these members out, come and see me in the back. I'll be holding a sign for 9R board candidates and volunteers. Let's take back our schools, give the power back to the parents, and help over 5,000 students that are suffering right now.
Deborah Schisler, and then Nathaniel Benton.
My name is Deborah Schisler. I taught LED for 30 years. I'd like to remind the board that the percentage of healthy adults under the age of 40 that die as a result of COVID is 0.01%. With that, I'd like to address the guideline of limiting visitors and guests to the schools and classrooms. This will be shutting out the people we need most. I support the idea of a three-legged stool for educational success. This child represents the seat. The support comes from the three legs: parents, teachers, and the community, because it takes a village to raise a child. In 50 different studies on parent engagement, educational researchers found children with engaged parents have better class participation and attendance, higher grades test scores, better social skills, classroom behavior, self-confidence, motivation, and graduate high school and college. Educators need to make space for parent partnerships. It matters now because our test scores are in decline. Based on 2018-2019 data, well before the pandemic, our sixth graders scored a meager 13% proficiency in math. This result, with a 14-to-1 student-teacher ratio. When I was teaching, classrooms often had nearly twice the number of students and never scored this low. It would not have been acceptable then, and it isn't now. We are failing our kids. In a recent Herald article, a school board member stated, we need to hold this superintendent's feet to the fire. A superintendent whose district scored in the 75th percentile. Yes, she can take the charge, she can lead it, but we need to hold everyone's feet to the fire and get our kids academically strong and confident in who they are so they can face the challenges of the future. Parents know their kids best. Let's include them. We have a great opportunity to rebuild the school. Let's put the kids first.
Nathaniel Benton. Antoinette Pharisee. Antoinette. Kristen Moran. Beverly Lopez. And then after Beverly is Jeff Yaskin.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to see you all. It's good to hear everyone's opinions. But what I'd like to do is have everyone just try to calm down a little bit and looking at the big picture. This is a communicable disease. It affects everyone. It's just kind of like when you're driving. How many of you flew through a red light or went right through a stop sign? So I'd like us all to just kind of take a look at the big picture. And yes, our kids need a good education. But because it's a communicable disease, I think we ought to think about our neighbors, kids that have immune compromised, teachers that for some reason or other cannot get the vaccination. So I'd like us all to just kind of take a look at each other and try to treat each other with a little bit more respect. Thank you very much.
Jeff Yaskin. Jeff Yaskin. April Ducart. April Ducart. Angela Bosco. Angela. And then after Angela will be Anne Marie Greenberg.
Good evening. Let me be clear, this is not about vaxxers versus anti-vaxxers. This is about all people having medical privacy and equality, which should not be violated by schools, employers, or government agencies. A needle in every arm seems to be the global directive, without a risk-benefit analysis to the individual or a cost-benefit analysis to society. We have yet to receive consistent factual information on the efficacy and long-term effects of this experimental vaccine. These are the first messenger RNA vaccines to be in production and tested in large-scale human trials. As a parent, I would never subject my child to medical testing. Healthy children and young people have mostly mild or no symptoms when infected with COVID-19 and near zero risk of death. So vaccinating all children is unnecessary and unsubstantiated by science with no basis in public health. Transmission of COVID-19 from children to adults is minimal. If an adult or child with comorbidities is coming in contact with healthy children and choose to mask and vaccinate, they have the right to do so for their protection. This is really about immunity. Natural immunity from COVID-19 is broad, robust, and more effective than the vaccine immunity, especially in combating the variants. Colorado law has always allowed for vaccine exemptions, a system in place that works and honors a parent's right to make an informed decision for their child without coercion, manipulation, or threat of segregation, discrimination, or social shaming. Parents, physicians, and elected officials must stand up for our kids before we find more damage has been done at the hands of politicized science. I hope the members of the board and Superintendent Chesser make the right decision to stop medical discrimination and honor our medical freedoms. Leave the kids alone, they've been through enough.
Anne Marie Greenberg. Anne Marie Greenberg. Okay. Seth Cohen. Seth Cohen. Okay, Seth's here. And then after Seth would be Lisa McCory.
Hi, everybody. Well, I didn't write anything down, and I know I had a bunch of facts that I thought might convince people of the otherwise, but probably wouldn't work anyway. I'm really here today just to stand up for my children. I promised them I would do something for them. I'm here today to stand up against mask mandates and forced vaccination, medical apartheid. I represent not only myself and my children, but many parents and friends that I know that are afraid to stand up due to their jobs or their families. If we don't get together right now and stop this nonsense, we are looking down a very scary road. This is more than just health. This is our rights as people and family to make our own decisions for our children. There is a vaccine available if you want to take it. You can wear 1, 2, or 10 masks if you want to. Let us make our own choices. You mentioned that you're listening to these organizations above, the powers that be. Are these the same people that said it was okay to go to a restaurant and wear a mask when you walk in and take it off when you sit down? What happened to critical thinking? What is going on here? All I see with the news and the media is constant segregation and dividing us. Why are they doing that? Follow the money. Okay, people, wake up and stand up for the children. Thank you.
McLaurin. Kelly McLaurin? Yeah? Okay, great. And then after Kelly is Mary Polino.
Hi, I'm Kelly McLaurin. I'm a Durango resident and a mother of 2, soon to be 3. That's why I feel like it's so important to be here. I'm an infectious disease epidemiologist and a physician assistant. And thanks for the opportunity to speak today. So as the board is aware, CDC recently changed their guidance due to the rising levels of the Delta variant. And San Juan Basin and CDC are both recommending that all fully vaccinated people reduce their risk of becoming infected with the Delta variant by wearing masks in public and indoor settings and areas of substantial community transmission, which La Plata County counts as of 8/2/2021. Therefore, I agree with the CDC statement that universal indoor masking should be for all teachers, staff, students, and visitors to the school regardless of vaccination status, as well as children returning to school full time with the COVID mitigation strategies that we have in place. I'd also like to comment on the community immunity goal of obtaining 70% vaccination status. And I would encourage the board to make decisions on targeted quarantine, masking, isolation, symptom screening, on vaccination rates in each school. So currently, San Juan Basin Health is only reporting 31% vaccination within the 12 to 18 age group. And that should be considered making any decisions about masking. And virtually, as it's been stated, our entire elementary school population has the lowest vaccination rate of those who are eligible, around 5%. Lastly, CDC has shared several studies that when disease transmission is high among youth, 2 to 4 weeks after that surge, we see more hospitalization and death within our community. Thank you.
Mary Polino. Is Mary here? Mary Polino. Okay, and then Aviva O'Neill. Aviva O'Neill. Wayne and Pam Linsenmeyer. Gabe O'Reilly. And after Gabe will be Aaron Prothero.
It's been a crazy year and a half, but I just want to say I love this community. I graduated from here in 1993. Having those high school jitters, you know, it doesn't get any different when you're up in front of the microphone. But anyway, so I have a daughter who's going to be a sophomore this year. I've got 2 kids over at Mountain Middle, one in 4th grade, one going into 6th grade. They're doing awesome. I mean, kids can rebound. But what's going on in the community right now as far as masks versus no masks and all the statistics being thrown out there, I have a hard time because every day there's new statistics coming out, you know, knowing what to believe, what not to believe. And I like the idea that we do have control locally as to what's going to happen. I don't think that the masks are making a huge difference. Mainly because they're not being worn the way that they should be, and I think the risk versus benefit, there's not the benefit there. Before I came over here this evening, I was over at one of the pharmacies, and everybody was kind of wearing a mask, and I think that that's kind of what happens. You had one person that, you know, had his mask on right, another person that was, you know, had it down below the chin, one right below the nose, and you know, if you could get everybody to do everything perfect, there might be a difference there. I would suggest to the board that we do our own experiment. So last year we were all masked up, and we have our statistics as to how many kids got COVID, and you know, and what happened there. How come we couldn't do our own experiment and say no masks this year, and look at the difference between last year and this year? So I love this community. I was born and raised here, you know, we're going to make it through, but we do have to stand up for our rights, and we do need to protect our kids. And I don't think that the masks are going to make the difference. Let our kids be kids.
personally have 2 kids in the schools in Durango, one at Mountain Middle and the other here at the high school. The amount of pressure and stress laid on the kids and parents who I know during the pandemic was astounding. The kids the country over have suffered scholastically, suffered emotionally, suffered socially. Not having real human interaction has been a major detriment to all of society the last year and a half. I wish and pray that we all look at the signs that says, regardless of where you get your information, the kids are perfectly capable of getting over this virus, if they even exhibit any symptoms at all. Here's my suggestion. If you have an underlying health issue, then you personally need to take steps to make sure you don't get sick. Personal responsibility. Remember a year and a half ago when someone would get sick, you would just stay home until you got better? Let's return to that. No masks for kids, no quarantines, no cohorts. If you feel sick, stay at home until you are better, then come back into society. Don't make society come to a stop because a few are sick. If we need to protect staff and faculty, then those who have underlying issues need to take responsibility for their own health and not rely on society to take care of them. We can't possibly worry about everyone else at the expense of our own well-being.
Leslie Hall. Valerie McInnes. Valerie McInnes. Okay, perfect. And then after Valerie is Kelly Miller.
I became a doctor because I like talking to patients and not public speaking, so please appreciate any nervousness. I'm a physician, mother of 4 children in the 9R school system. Actually, one just graduated and is going to Montana. Yay, excited. So I feel like this is very personal. I'm a hospitalist at Mercy, have been on the front lines of taking care of COVID-19 patients since day one. If you ask my hospitalist partners, my pediatrician partners, my nursing partners who are out here waving their hands, our lives have forever been altered by this. So please know that if I sound emotional, I am emotional. We have seen people dying sick, scared, and alone. I'm gonna back this up to kids though, because that's what we're here to talk about today. All kids need to be in school. I am not a teacher. I don't like to homeschool kids. I don't like my kids being at home. They all need to be back in school. So the question is really mitigation strategies, and that's what the whole discussion has been here about tonight. How can we keep every kid, every beloved, precious life, every child with diabetes, every child with cancer, every healthy kid like I'm fortunate enough to have, every kid with cystic fibrosis, how can every kid stay in 9R this next year? Is that everybody's goal? Can I hear a round of applause? So the key thing I want you to understand is viral suppression, because that is the science tonight not one single person has really addressed. Delta variant is a game changer. Those of you who are following the science, and my dad, I can just tell you, almost died of Delta variant in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where people don't mask and the immunization rate is 30%. He was vaccinated, immunosuppressed, rheumatoid arthritis. If viral suppression means that the more free-floating virus in the community, the more that kids that are infected, even if they're not dying, we get more mutations, becomes viral resistant. We get more patients in the hospital, and then guess what? When you get in an accident, a car accident, you need an ICU bed at Mercy, or you need care, we don't have capacity. You have extended the limits of the medical care system. So I would say masking doesn't hurt anybody. I encourage everybody to get vaccinated. Ask any doctor or nurse in here. We've spent 12 to 15 hours a day, not in these, but in N95s.
Kelly Miller. Kelly Miller's here, and then after this is Kristen Thomas. Kristen Thomas.
Hi, my name is Kelly Miller. I'm a local pediatrician as well as serving in the hospital as a pediatrician. I'm a mom of 4, one of my kids with complex medical fragile illness as well. I'm vaccinated and all 4 of my children are vaccinated, including my medically fragile child. And I can say I don't have a speech, just listening to some of the stuff tonight, I will let you know that the community vaccination rate, 70%, we should be proud of that. Our school age eligible vaccination rate, 30%. That's actually pretty good because neighboring communities are 19%. But 30% is not 70%. So when our kids return and they return with 30%, we are putting all of those who are unvaccinated and those who are ineligible to be vaccinated at risk. I know we all agree, and that's why we're here, for kids to be in-person learning. We're all here for that. We all agree that we want our kids to be safe, our staff safe, our teachers safe, and personal choice. But our kids, we're dictating their choice as their parents. And we want to keep our kids safe, and they are not eligible. The Delta, as Dr. McInnes pointed out, has a transmission rate that is double of what COVID was when our kids were in school in last year. It is double transmissible. They carry 1,000 times the viral load. Cough, sneeze, sharing, it is that much more transmissible to get it. Is it more serious?
30 seconds left.
Probably not. Are kids really sick and severe and hospitalized? Probably not. But do they share it when they go home with adults who have risk, with grandma who has risk, with the bus driver who has risk, with the teacher who has risk, for those who are not fully vaccinated, or for those who make no choice to be vaccinated? Those kids share it, and the virus can mutate, and we fall further behind. And I am worried. Just focus on kids, health, academics, they're all there. Keep them safe.
Thank you so much. Please remember when the person is up speaking that we're going to respectfully listen to their perspective. Kristen Thomas is next, and then Donna Gluck.
Hi, I'm Kristen Thomas. I have two kids that are in school. One is at DHS, another's going into Miller. Masks are a really pretty easy way to reduce any of our problems. You've heard two doctors, and it doesn't affect our kids. They're much more resilient. And just having them back in school is the main goal of everybody here tonight. So please just really think about wearing masks. Thank you.
Are you Donna? Hi, thank you, Donna. And then after Donna is going to be Lori Scott.
Oh, okay. Wow, okay. Our children need to be back in school. With a mask, without a mask, with a vaccination or without a vaccination, it's a parent's choice. Everyone is talking about 70%, vaccination rates. Let's take a look at the CMAS test results for 9R. That measures the district's performance and proficiency based on the state standards. Keep in mind, these results are from 2019, well before the pandemic. I cringe to think of what these scores are like now. But here we go. We get a big fat F in math. The 9R math scores show that our students are a mere 20.9% proficient in math. 68% of our students are performing at least one grade level below the current grade. We get an F in reading and writing, 47.2% proficiency rate. 61%, that's like a little bit more than half, are below one grade level or more. Dr. Chesser, I'd like to welcome you to our wonderful community. And it is a wonderful community.
30 seconds left.
Your credentials are impressive, and we hope that you will turn our failing 9R around. We took a look at Fort Thomas Independent Schools, where our math scores were 20.6, 76%, 55% higher. Like, hello? Like, how does that happen? Reading, she's 75%, 30% higher than ours. This should be shocking and encouraging to every parent here because Dr. Chesser is now on our team. Our kids must go back to school with or without a mask, with or without vaccines. It is a parent's choice. 9R must focus on academic excellence, period. Your job is to educate, period. Thank you.
Lori Scott here. Lori Scott. Okay, we also have Jim Scott. Richard Peterson. Okay, Richard's coming, and then Lisa Snyder would be next.
That's awesome. Budget item.
Yep.
All right, good evening. My name is Rick Peterson, and I'm here representing my wife and my 2 school-age children. At the beginning of last school year, we found the plan put forth by the school district in response to the pandemic to be well thought out and comprehensive. It was based in science and truth and consisted of prudent decisions designed to keep our children as safe as possible in an inherently risky situation. We would like to ask the school district to continue in this manner for the upcoming school year. Several of the proposed changes give us cause for concern. Specifically, the proposal of only having unvaccinated students and staff masked and doing away with cohorting, quarantines, and masking if the vaccinated percentage of our community reaches 70%. Based on my research, the 70% vaccination rate that we are nearing as a community, as reported by San Juan Basin Public Health, represents only individuals eligible for vaccination. In an elementary school setting, the percentage of vaccinated individuals, including staff, would be in the single digits. I'd be surprised if the community in the middle school was anywhere near 70%, given that the entire incoming 6th grade class, by and large, is not yet eligible for vaccination. That would mean the herds that our children are spending 7 hours a day in would be well below this threshold. It is for this reason, along with the guidance released in the last few days by the CDC and San Juan Basin Public Health, that I emphatically ask that the school district have all individuals wear masks, regardless of vaccination status. This is also acknowledging the CDC's recent statement that vaccinated individuals are absolutely able to be infected with the new Delta variant, which is twice as contagious, and have shown viral loads equal to unvaccinated individuals, which means they can indeed pass it on to others. Last thing I'd like to ask everybody to remember is while the number of children who die from this disease is very, very small, every one of those dead children is 100% dead to that family. Thank you.
Again, the person with the mic has the floor, so please restrict your comments while someone is speaking. Thank you. Lisa Snyder is next, and Kevin Sandlin is after that. Lisa Snyder. Is Lisa here? Okay. If Lisa's not here, we'll move on to Kevin Sandlin. Kevin Sandlin here. Angela Peterson. After Angela is Jessica Coates.
Good evening. Public speaking is not really my thing, so forgive me if I'm nervous. For me and many other of the families in this community, the goal this year is to keep our children in school. Better? Okay. To keep our children in school. We want to keep our teachers safe, we want to keep our children safe, and we want to keep our community healthy. As the mother of a child that is too young to be vaccinated yet, as the daughter of a father with multiple myeloma and a stem cell transplant, as the daughter-in-law of a woman with a congenital disease that had required one of her lungs to be removed. I support 100% of teachers and students wearing masks in public schools, regardless of vaccination status. This is not really the crowd for me to, rah CDC, apparently. But there are a lot of science, evidence-based people dedicating their lives to keeping us healthy and keeping us safe. There is no harm in wearing a mask, but the consequences of not wearing a mask are huge. We all know that only 30% of our 10 to 12-year-olds are vaccinated, and that's far from herd immunity. Masks can have their challenges.
30 seconds left.
It causes more emotional stress for our children to go back and forth between in-person and remote learning. The way to keep our children in school is to have them masked. The Delta variant is more contagious than chickenpox. And the trouble is, we don't even know when some people are infected. I am an ICU nurse. I have a fully vaccinated people with chronic conditions with weakened immune system that I have held their hand while they succumb to this disease by themselves. The consequences of not wearing masks are enormous. Let's please do the compassionate, evidence-based thing and keep our children in school by wearing masks.
Jessica Coates. Jessica, and after Jessica is Ashley Hill.
I am a mother of two, and I despise public speaking. It's like sheer terror and to speak to those who may oppose my views. And I'm pushing through to speak on behalf of my children and their well-being. I am a dental hygienist, and I am the most at-risk profession above respiratory therapists, according to the internet. And I wear an N95 respirator because that is the only mask that protects me from COVID. Children wearing cloth masks or anything less than an N95 is useless. So schools, if you want my child masked, please provide an N95 mask with a fit test to truly protect them and their peers. It infuriates me that we can eat and drink and socialize with friends and the hundreds of tourists without masks, and my children may not have the privilege to sit with 25 of our local peers to learn. She has had impetigo twice from her hours of mask wearing in her kindergarten year. Masks are a warm, moist, bacterial breeding ground, and I want it off of my child. I believe that COVID cases may increase and decrease over the course of the school year, and we have not had spikes in death rates in our community since the 4 deaths reported in November of last year. This is just according to Google. Mom of Amara, I hear your cry for help.
30 seconds.
My daughter would choose to wear a mask to stand with her daughter, and I would absolutely support her. I just want to have the parental right to make that decision in our own home. Schools, please encourage washing hands and take temperatures, survey symptoms, make testing available to parents and children, and make masks and vaccines optional and a family decision.
Ashley Hill. After Ashley is Gabriel Wilson. Is Gabriel Wilson here? Yeah. Okay, great. Gabriel Wilson. After Gabriel is Gavin Tweedy.
Hi everyone. I too am not super fond of public speaking, but thought I should say something. My son's over there, he doesn't want to wear a mask. I don't think that you should require them unless they want to. It should be a choice left up to the parents and the kids. Same as vaccination. Get it if you want to. If you don't. It shouldn't be something required, and it shouldn't be a requirement for you to not wear a mask. Teach these kids how to clean their hands, sanitize the surfaces, do the symptom screening, but masks are just not the way to go. That's about it.
Gavin Tweedy. After Gavin is Jasmine Bishop.
Hi there. Thank you for having this forum. What I'd like to say is, having some children wear masks and others not wear masks will be incredibly traumatizing to our children. In middle school and high school, all kids want to do is just fit in, and kids can't control if they get the vaccine or they don't get the vaccine. Making some kids wear a mask will lead to embarrassment, seclusion, and bullying. Additionally, how do you account for people who have the antibodies from getting the virus? They don't need a mask. They don't need to be wearing a mask in schools. CDC data, as of July 28, 2021, ages 5 to 18, 282 kids died in that time, in the whole time for COVID, 282. And the CDC lists hospitalization as rare, but they don't give an actual number. I couldn't find an actual number. That's out of 4 million cases. So 282 deaths out of 4 million cases. And those are cases involving COVID. Those aren't necessarily cases because of COVID. Additionally, tourism is in full swing in Durango. There's 2-hour wait times in all our restaurants, grocery stores are open, the rec center's open, churches are open. You see next to no masks in any of these places. Yet we're gonna turn and put masks on the kids when they come into school. It just makes no sense. Finally, I think most experts, and I think everybody, both sides of this discussion in this room would agree, children need and thrive on consistency and routine. And there was none of that last year. It was in and out, in and out, in and out. It was a mess. If you're gonna do one thing, I urge you just to consider, once you make some rules, stick with them. Keep some consistency and some routine. They need the routine. Thank you.
Jasmine Bishop. After Jasmine is John Partnow.
Hello. Actually, I wasn't even really prepared to talk because I work too much. I am a single mother with 3 children. This past year has been a S show, and I'm sure everybody knows what that means. I have had my daughter have a rash on her face since they were forced to wear a mask. It doesn't go away. Who is liable for this? I did not force her to wear this. You guys did. I have to go and spend $200 on something that should not be there. I shouldn't have to. I'm a single mom. I work too much. My money needs to go towards feeding these children and not a dermatologist to tell me there isn't anything we can do because she has to go wear the mask again. Last year, my son was sent home because I did not know his hort or whatever it is, was quarantined. The school did not call me to tell me my son showed up at school, and as I was driving to work, he's walking home. What if my child got hit, kidnapped, anything? Who is liable for that? Am I just supposed to be like, well, my kid just walked home? You guys are talking about safety. You did not put my children safety at all because he walked home. And I had no idea that he was coming home. And you think an email works? No, he showed up. He showed up. You had every single chance to call me and say, your kid's going back home. Nothing.
After John is Kristen Miskler.
Good evening, guys. Who's hungry? Okay. Thanks for everybody being here. I appreciate the passion, regardless of what side you're on, and thank you for being here, hearing all this at volume 10 at times. Hard. I just want to talk about some things that weren't said yet. I'm not going to repeat. No one's talking about building the immune system. Viruses come and go, Variants come and go. Flus mutate. Flu vaccine's been around forever. So I say some of the assets, resources should be going to better food choices, exercise, drinking water and not sodas. And for me, the best defense is, the immune system I'm talking about. In medical school, and by the way, I'm an alternative healthcare practitioner here in town. I'm educated as an MD, also a traditional naturopath, but I practice more natural. But in medical school, to memorize things, there's a lot to memorize. The common cold, you break it down, and it's rhinovirus, coronavirus, before it became COVID, RSV, and parainfluenza. So we're talking about the common cold. So my question is this: is corona that much more stronger? Are these variants that much more stronger, or as we, as citizens, as American people, weaker? I go with the second. If you look at the obesity rate, blood, hypertension rate, heart disease, and I'm not talking about the elderly. I'm talking about 18 and younger are coming in with adult type problems. That's what we need to be focusing on. And yeah, we've done this kids a disservice with the education and ill preparing them for the real world. We need to prepare these kids because it's not their fault, it's our fault, okay? So anyway, thanks everybody for being here. Thanks for your time, appreciate it.
Kristen Mishker, is she here? Okay, Sarah Mares. Pete Sakadinsky. Okay, and then we have Alicia Hinckley.
Hello, I wasn't planning on doing this. I graduated from Durango High School. I have a 15-year-old child here, and I am confused. Like, I don't know about Corona. I'm not sure how this all works. I read the news. I see masks work, masks don't work. The vaccine works, the vaccine doesn't work. The vaccinated can spread to the I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. But I can tell you what I'm intimate with, and that is desperation in my child, despair, suicidal tendencies, the will to not live, to not have to come to this place. And I don't know what the answer is to this, but if you're worried about saving our children's lives, get back to normal, because you're killing them anyway.
Alicia Hinckley, is she here? Okay, Matt Jones. Okay, Patricia Lemke. Kim Williams. Leah Gray. Leah is on her way up. And after Leah would be Neil Dimmick.
Hi, thank you. I think I hate public speaking as much as a number of you that have been up here. I don't know that I have a lot new to say. I will second what Pete just said. There's a lot of information out there and it's really confusing. We have family members that are doctors. I get different opinions from different ones of them. We've heard Kelly Miller, a wonderful pediatrician in town, speak. We've heard a neurologist speak, a lot of different opinions. It's really hard to make sense of it all. What we do know right now, though, is that COVID is still spreading and infecting through the vaccinated and unvaccinated individuals, both. We know that children can get COVID. We know that some of them aren't gonna have symptoms. We know that some of them are gonna get sick and it's gonna be very mild. And we know that in a few, especially those with underlying conditions, it can be serious, but this is less common. So what preventative measures that 9R has proposed make the most sense? Does it make sense to monitor symptoms and stay home when sick? Absolutely. Let's keep our kids home when they're sick. I know parents, a lot of them do this, a lot of people don't. Does it make sense to maintain physical distancing of 3 feet? That doesn't affect our kids too much if we want to do that, and maybe make the possibility where we don't have to quarantine all students now who are exposed, and we can just quarantine those that are within an area to keep more kids in the classroom. That makes sense. Regular hand washing makes sense. Enhanced cleaning makes sense, but let's not close the school for a whole day, please, to clean. Let's keep them in the classroom. Weekly testing as an option makes sense. But if schools, oh, sorry, I wrote my stuff down and then I kind of went off script. Does it make sense to require masks or quarantining for only unvaccinated students and staffs? Absolutely not. If school is gonna make this requirement, it needs to be a requirement for all students and staffs, regardless of vaccination status. Let's not segregate our students based upon their vaccination status. Thank you.
All right, that was Leah. Now we have Neil Dimmick. Is Neil here? Jake Tuck. Jake Tuck. Stephanie Hood. Stephanie Hood. Doug Hood. Doug Hood. Patrick Armijo. Jeff Powell. After Jeff is Teresa Bagdahl.
Hi, thank you. It's good to see everyone. My name is Jeff Powell. I'm a pediatrician. I work in public health and pediatrics for the past 19 years in the Four Corners region. I'd like to share a few things today. I see the signs, and I really applaud people for the, enthusiasm. I wish that stuff worked. I really do. But I'm going to tell you some good news. We know what does work. And when we're talking about protecting the community in the public schools, we're talking about vulnerable populations, right? So we're talking about community members, groups in our communities based on today's data that have vaccine rates that are 27% and 47%. We have highly unvaccinated segments of the community. I wish getting loud would work. I've been angry. I wish that worked. It doesn't work. Vaccines are great. I agree it should be choice. Totally applaud. We're getting there on our rates. Those who wish to be vaccinated definitely do it. I think face masking works. We know that. We've done this. We actually lived this dream just last year. My child, who's going to be in 9th grade, she had a mostly successful school year. And guess what? This next year is going to be even better for her and for all of our kids if we implement the correct measures. Sadly, not the most popular measures. Popularity and vigor
30 seconds
not going to get us through this. Face masks work, cohorting works, vaccines work. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Teresa Bagdahl. Teresa Bagdahl. Adam Howell. Adam Howell.
Quick question. If masks are so important, I see that
I'm not able to do question answer. I've called up Adam.
superintendent and the staff are standing together, not wearing masks closer than 6 feet. So it's so important.
We're gonna let Adam speak now. Thank you.
Good point, good point.
Hi, my name is Adam. I'm asking you to defend our medical freedom. Since the pandemic began, we've seen a multitude of draconian policies advocated or implemented by governmental entities. District 9R has been no exception to these practices. Requiring kids to wear masks and encouraging them to take experimental jabs being the most prominent authoritarian policies in 9R schools. No kid should be forced to wear medical devices or take medical treatments that they don't deem to be necessary for themselves. These types of medical directives amount to a policy of medical tyranny, also known as guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah.
Specifically, medical tyranny is cruel, oppressive, unreasonable control over the kids who wish to live their lives without being accosted by the District 9R staff. During the age of COVID-19, the mask and the pharmaceutical jabs are a means of coercing and controlling the students to make them fearful of everyone around them. This Orwellian method of controlling kids is tyrannical and heavy-handed. Mandated masking causes mental illness, bacterial infections inside the nose, and prohibits kids from observing the expressions of their colleagues. The masks stifle and discourage their ability to communicate with each other. Meanwhile, the COVID-19 risk mitigation plan titled Return to Learn appears to encourage vaccination as a core principle, while exercise and exposure to sunlight are completely ignored by the plan. Please tell us why exercise, nutrition, and exposure to sunlight are completely absent from this plan for managing in-person learning for students. Kids are not dying from COVID-19 in Colorado, according to the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment. As such, it is time to let the students and the parents decide for themselves what kinds of medical decisions to make while attending school. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for being a community that cares. We appreciate your opinions and your feedback. We value you taking the time to spend with us this evening. Have a lovely evening with your families. Good night.
Wait, there's this. He signed up to speak. He was signed up to speak. He was signed up. Sorry.
I did. I got a little. I got the confirmation link, but then I didn't get the email.
How's everything? Going well. How about yourself? You gonna go play some hockey soon or what? Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna join a team or not. I might take you to that. Have you heard about some tournament in the rec? Oh, no, I'm not gonna. They never go to the rec. I like to work in the
Alright, I'll be back in the
Oh, in Santa? Or your hotel? You ever been to those? Breckenridge, I don't go to. The hotel probably costs like $200 a night there, huh? Yeah, right? Yeah, so you gotta, team up with four other guys.
Socialized medicine got vaccinated and then we got vaccinated and vaccinated.
That's something they have a question and answer thing. I asked them if they're at all concerned about teaching our kids. So cheaper and healthy. 20% for the math. They should be. They should be. teach your kids.
She's saying that if you eat the wrong food and you have a heart attack, you can't go to her hospital. That's what she's saying. That's the kind of shit. That's embarrassing. I'm a nurse too. That's embarrassing.
Go eat something. It's about time, man. I'm hungry too. I know. I hear you. Hey, thanks for coming out, Tom. Yeah, appreciate you, man. I'm glad Stan keeps being forward.
How can we find your video? My husband.
Write up something to say.
Good job, girls. Yes. I just wish I could have got on because I have dated.
I do and I don't. I know customers. So I'm here.
All right, guys. Well, there you have it. The meeting was pretty rowdy. A lot of different perspectives, but I think there was a lot of resistance to the school district trying to impose their medical will upon our kids. So that's a good thing, I'd say.